this module, I'd like to talk to you about the GUI and the Nano. Basically, I'm going to walk you through how to navigate through the screens and give you a basic understanding of how the unit operates. For some of you that have the Nano installed, if you walk up to the console, the screen might be dark. Just go ahead and tap the screen. It'll come back. This is a feature that we added into the Nano so that if the unit is not being used or somebody is actively touching the screen, it will go blank. It's just a matter of walking up, touching the screen. It'll revive it, but when it comes back, it'll come back to this inventory screen. The Nano has the ability to talk to 12 tanks. At your facility right now, what you see on my screen is I have 2. The home screen has the ability to show 6 individual tanks. If you have more than 6 tanks at your facility, you'll be given an icon up here that'll show you 7 to however many you have up to 12. So you can toggle between the first 6 and the second 6 by just going ahead and hitting that little toggle up in the top right corner. But to see the inventory that's in a particular tank, just go ahead and touch the icon. I'm going to go ahead and do regular, and this will give you an expanded view of that particular tank. It shows you the capacity, the diameter, the net product volume, gross, product height, water height, density, ullage. It's basically showing you what you can order for that particular tank to bring it back into the 90-95% capacity. If I want to go to the second tank or other tanks that you have at the subsequent tanks at this facility, they'll be listed here in the filters. Now if you have 1 through 6, they'll give you 6 icons on the side. If you have more than 6 tanks, it will break them down into smaller buttons, giving you the ability to show 1 through 12. So I can go ahead and toggle between tanks 1 and 2 just by touching the filter button on the right hand side. Now once I'm in the inventory, I can go ahead and send that inventory to either the printer, an email, fax, or a text message. Now just by hitting the send all or send button, it allows me to bring up these functionalities, and I can go ahead and if I want to send it to the printer, just hit the print icon, hit apply. It will automatically send it out to the printer. If I want to email somebody, it's just a matter of going ahead and clicking on the email, clicking on the person that you want to send the email to, hitting apply, and then apply again, and it will automatically send out that email for you. Now from this screen, what I need to do is show you the next functionality, which is the calendar view. The calendar view is how you will see the events that have happened at your facility. And if you look at it, it's basically just a standard calendar, but you can see on today's date, which is the 24th of July, that I've had several events that have happened. I've had a delivery, I've had a warning and alarm. Now the navigation of the calendar, I've got filter buttons on the left and filter buttons on the right. The filters on the left allow me to filter my deliveries, my compliance, warnings, and alarms, basically allowing me to turn those views in the calendar on or off. And then I can go ahead and select the tank that I want to see. So if I click on the 24th, I can go ahead and see every event that has happened today. But if I don't want to see the deliveries, and I only want to see what's the alarm actions that I've had today, I just go ahead and turn everything off, and you can see that I just see the alarms that have happened this day. Now I've got tank 2, tank 1, high product and low product alarms. I can also filter by tank. I can go ahead and click off tank number 1, and now all you see is what I had for tank number 2, which is my high product and high products. By turning the filters all back on, and I only have tank 2 selected, I'm still only going to see the alarms, warnings, compliances, and deliveries for tank number 2. I can do the toggle and say select all, and it'll turn everything back on. And if I go back to the calendar, it'll bring me back to the calendar view, and I can do the same thing on the calendar view itself. I can turn on or off deliveries, I can turn on or off alarms, and I can also turn on or off warnings. So now that you've seen the calendar view on the day, as a particular day in the list view, we understand the icon colors. All gray means that it's automatically all acknowledged. The event has come in, it's been acknowledged, and it's ended. If it's red or yellow in the center, that means that it's active, unacknowledged, just letting you know, and the horn is probably going off. At the point in which it's just a blue color around the exterior, that means that the event has come in and has ended but has not been acknowledged. And what you can see is that if I touch one of these icons, it shows you the history of that particular event, the start time, acknowledge time, end time. So let's go back to the calendar view and see what would happen when we come back with a water event that would come in. So what will happen is that the console will be sitting there, you're looking at the calendar view, or it may even be dark. Next thing you know, the beeper is going to go off. So now that you see the horn going off, you hear it going off, and you see that there's now two icons on the screen. And these are warnings and alarms. Now, just like you can filter the list view on the calendar, you can filter the same thing on the actual calendar view itself. I can turn the warnings and the alarms off to only see the deliveries, or I can completely turn deliveries off and only look at my warnings and alarms. And I can also filter by tank. I can still filter tank 1 or tank number 2 to let me know where my warnings and alarms are. So let's go ahead, and I've got an active alarm. Now a warning is just that. I've got a warning. Warning can be a high water, but not high water in a tank. Once you reach the alarm point, which is the high point, that's where you have this active button down here. I can go ahead and hit that button. It brings me to that event, and I can go ahead and acknowledge it. So you see that it's registered the start time and the acknowledge time, but it hasn't ended yet because that product or that high water event is still active in the system. So we'll come back to the calendar view, go back to the date, and now you see that I've got a high water. And you remember what I was telling you about the icon colors. You can see that now it's actually gone with a red border around it. It's telling you that it is still active, but it's been acknowledged. If I acknowledge this event, you'll see that the unit will actually go ahead and tell me that the start time, acknowledge time, but the end time is still there. Go back, and now the icon color has changed. If we see the event has cleared, they'll automatically go to a gray status and let you know that the event has been entered, it's been acknowledged, and that the event is now either cleared, either having somebody come out and remove the water from the tank, or it could have been where during a delivery the bottom float has bobbled just a little bit and has created an event. In any case, you'll actually see these events clear just by going off the screen to your inventory screen and then back to the calendar. And you can see how they actually changing color on the calendar view, and your active count is now back to 0. Now the calendar view and the list view are just that. Calendars I can move back and forth within time, seeing the actual calendar of events. And this is designed to be able to give you the ability to be able to sort or actually filter out what you see on the screen. The list view is just a list of chronological events that have happened for that particular month. They're in timestamp order. They're in no particular event order, but they are in timestamp order. So you'd see your deliveries, your high water, high water, invalid fuel height, any type of event that has happened, they are in chronological order of time of event. I can still filter just like you would in the regular calendar view, just by coming in, turning off my filters for deliveries, my warnings, alarms. Same thing, I can do that. This is done in a list view and not in a calendar view. The calendar is designed to be able to bring you to a specific date and give you the list of events that happened that date. The list view is strictly everything that has happened within that calendar month. So now that you see the calendar view again, you can see that I've had a delivery on the 24th and the 25th, but I've also had warnings and alarms on each one of the days. The only icon that I'm not able to show you right now is the compliance icon, and that would be a check mark that would show up right here in this space on the day. And this is when you're running a static point 2 test at the location, and it's either passed, failed, or it's inconclusive. You will see the color coding of the checkbox. Green means that it's passed, red means that it's failed, and yellow means that it became an inconclusive. And an inconclusive doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just telling you that you've had something that has prevented the test from completion. Pass being that you've passed the test, the red check being that you failed the test, and then yellow just means that it's inconclusive. Now, from the list view, I can come in and I can see the events that have happened that day. Well, let's say somebody wants to be notified, or you want to send that event to someone. Go ahead and click on the event. So now that you see the events in the calendar, you have the ability to send that event to someone. So go ahead and hit the send button. I'm going to check email. It's going to go look in your contact list that was programmed when the technician programmed the console. Now there's going to be a list of 5 people if you have that many people. The console has the maximum number of 5 that I can email, fax, or text message. But I can send the print event to any printer that's connected to the console. So I'm going to go ahead and check the box next to the person that I want to send the email to, hit apply, and then hit apply again. And basically what it's going to do, it's going to send all of these sensor status events out via email to that particular person. So let's go ahead and look at the Reports tab. Now, underneath the Reports tab, you have the ability to print, email, fax, or text message a report from the Nano. And I can do a saved inventory report, delivery report, my active alarm count, reconciliation, and auto calibration status. Now, the saved inventory is something that the technician would have set up for you already underneath the Settings tab. This is just the ability to be able to send those reports from the Nano to someone, but the settings are done by the technician. So before the technician leaves, make sure that you give him the information that he needs to program into the saved inventory if you want to use this particular function. So if I look at my saved inventory, I can go ahead and create a report. And if I want that report to be sent out daily, weekly, or monthly, I go ahead and select daily. I want to start this tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and hit set. My end time, I'm just going to go ahead and put it out as far as I can. Let's say 2021. Go ahead and hit set. But I want this to come out at 6 a.m. Go ahead and hit set, and I can set it to go to the printer as well as to the email. And it's just a matter of checking the box of the person that's in your contact list that you want to send it out via email. Go ahead and hit apply, and then go ahead and hit save. Now this is going to save this event into the calendar. So if I come back to the saved inventory tab, it shows that these reports are actually saved in the calendar. So let's say I want to go back later on and I missed an event. Say I lost the print or I lost the email. I can literally come back into that particular day that I want to recreate, pull it up in the list view, go ahead and highlight it, and just hit the send button, and it'll go ahead and resend the event that has happened that day. So it'll go back, and so since I had it set up to print an email, it'll go back and send it to the printer again. It'll automatically go back and send it back to the email contact that was selected in the prior setting. Same thing if you want to do a delivery or an active alarm count. You set them up exactly the same way. Whether you want your deliveries to be done daily, weekly, or monthly, set your beginning and your end times, and then go ahead and hit save. Now, you can actually filter these out, so if I only want to do saved inventory for tanks 1 or tank 2, basically you're doing the same thing. All you're doing is filtering out, because somebody may not deal with all of the tanks, but only deal with a couple of the tanks, and they may not want to see everything. They can go ahead and select the tanks that they want to be able to see, and then go ahead and hit save. At the point in which you want to get rid of a report, it's just a matter of highlighting it, go ahead and hitting the delete report, and then it'll go ahead and remove it from your calendar, so that way you won't even see it in there anymore. Now, one of the things that we have is an active alarm count. This is what's going to show the active alarms that are in the system today. So if every day you want to see that remotely or on the printout, you can go ahead and have it where it's set up automatically to do that. The last button that I want to show you is your favorites button. If you notice on most of the screens, you'll see add to favorites, and that's the calendar view and the list view. And basically what this is that if I only want to see deliveries, I can go ahead and filter out these particular warnings, alarms, and compliance and only show the deliveries. And then I can just go ahead and add it to favorites. Now, once it's add to favorites, see how the button has changed to remove from favorites? And what this is doing is that if I come to the favorite screen, it's showing that I have a calendar view filtered by tanks 1 and 2. So now all I do is click on this button, it'll bring me back to this screen. So if I go back to the inventory, look at my calendar, I'm back to the normal view with nothing filtered. It's literally coming to favorites, clicking on the filtered button that I had, or my favorites button that I had, and it'll bring me exactly to this. And this is designed so that if somebody in your compliance department or somebody that is monitoring your deliveries in particular tanks, they can set up their own view so that you're not actually always having to filter your screens. It's just a matter of going quickly from one screen to the next. If you have any questions on the Nano or the operation of the Nano, please contact OPW or your local commercial district manager or your local sales representative.